Picking up where we left off last time, we made a website where, now you can start to see this kind of looks like it was made with Dreamweaver. I'm almost sure it is. We have, and it's one of those templates, we have the header across the top, right? It says Monmouth University, where leaders look forward. There's a column down the side here. There's a footer. Well, okay, there's a column on this side, a column on that side, and a footer, which looks a lot like one of the Dreamweaver templates. And the footer section is actually this part across the bottom here, these buttons across the bottom. So now, we can go from this page to many other pages. For example, down the side here, we can click on other pages on Monmouth's website. And then there's buttons across the top here. Now this menu here, for example, this academic menu, if you just put the mouse over it, it gives you a list of other web pages that you could go to, also on the Monmouth site. And some of these buttons have menus that go with them. So for example, if I wanted to go to, let's say for example, the academics web page and then pick a department, and then maybe go to the mathematics department, for example. The web page has now changed somewhat, right, but not completely. We still have the same Monmouth University where leaders look forward. We still have the same buttons. These buttons are the same all the way across. The search thing is still the same. And actually, this column right here is the same. But the column that was over here, this one changed. And the middle section changed, right? And if I scroll down to the footer, you would see the footer is the same. So what Monmouth wanted to do was to have all the pages be somewhat similar, but obviously each page has to have something different about it. Otherwise, the page wouldn't make much sense, right? There'd be nothing new about it. So if we decide we want to create a website where all the pages kind of had the same look and feel, but then we decided from time to time, for all the different places that we can click to, and all of these things just click us to another page. These buttons on the top still remain the same. So for example, if from the math page, I could go to academics, I could pick another department, and right now I could jump to, let's say, the criminal justice department, just by clicking on it. Now what that means is that the math page has to have the academics button here, and then all those sub-buttons or sub-menus have to have the same entries here. Now suppose the school decided to add a new department. After this, right now let's look at how many web pages this university has. We have the main one, the index one, which is actually called, well, for the math department, it's called default.asp. But now what we have is we have these pages. Each one of these is a separate page. And if I clicked on any one of these pages, it would have the same header, the same column on the side, the same footer, but maybe the part on the left and the part in the center would be different. Okay, now suppose we added one new department to the university. Let's say a new major. What's a major we currently don't have that we might want to add? Let's say, just for example, we wanted to add, we have a biology and we have a chemistry, right? Is there a chemistry? Chemistry. Mm-hmm. Suppose we wanted to add a new major, biochem. Right? We combine those two and then we have a new major. We would have to change hundreds of web pages to add this new line that says biochem, to add one line here. Every web page that we made for the whole university would have to be updated, because every one of these pages has this menu on it. So if we're adding one item to the menu, we'd have to go through hundreds of pages to make the same change. And you know we're going to make a mistake. We're going to put biochem as the fourth line on one and the fifth line on another one. If you're doing the cut and paste, you could have errors with it. So what we can do is we can decide when we're designing our website, we could say, I know that sections of our page are going to be the same for all pages, and sections of our page will not. So for example, let me go back to the original page. If you'll notice, going back to the original page, this is pretty funny. The middle section right now is blank. So they have content that's constantly changing, and who's ever managing the website right now has nothing to put up there, so that's a little strange. There's usually a picture or something like that. So anyway, and this is live on the internet. So it looks like the way Mama did it was they had a header across the top with these buttons as part of the page that will be the same on every page. It also looks like this column stays the same on every page, but this column changes and this middle section changes. So what we can do is we can, in Dreamweaver, we can decide, let's say we've made a decision that the top, this column, and the bottom will be the same for every page, but that the section in the middle will be different for every page. We can create what they call a template, where we define the top, the column down the side, and the bottom, and save that as a template. That's not a web page, it's just a template. And then what we do is we decide that we want to then start making individual pages from that template. So like in Dreamweaver last time, when we went to create a web page, we said new, and then we said new, and then blank page, and HTML, and it made a blank page for us. Now what we'll do is we'll create a template first, and then save that away. So we haven't really generated any web pages yet. And then when we go to generate a web page, we'll say, I don't want a blank one, I want to make one from the template. And then if we have many templates, a web page doesn't have to have just one template, you have to live with it. You could make 4 or 5 templates, and then build pages from those. So what we'll do is we'll create a template, save that away, and then we'll start generating many, many pages from that. If we later decide we don't want to have a banner that says Monmouth University, where leaders look forward, let's say the logo changes, we could change the logo in the template, and when we go to save it, it's going to say, do you also want to save the 300 pages that were made from it? Do you want those to be updated too? And you say yes, and they'll all be automatically updated. So that way, the stuff that remains the same on every page, all you have to do is change it once, and it will get copied to all the pages that were made from it. So when would you use a template? Well, it would be if you had something like this. This is one of the best examples, and this is what we'll do. We'll create, for this, our example today, we'll create buttons like these that have pull-down menus on them. And then you'll realize, wow, if I then made 300 pages from that and then had to add one more item to the menu, that would be 300 updates. It would be better to put that in a template. So what we'll do is we'll create our first, we'll go to a folder, and we'll create a website from, I'll go to my folder, I'll create a brand new project. I'll call it, what should I call this? I'll call this, well, we're going to do what's called a Spry menu. So maybe I'll call it Spry. I'll call it a SPRY template website. You could call it whatever you want. You could call it DW, leave it in your DWT folder. So now, I want to open up Dreamweaver. The first thing we want to do is we want to say site. So we're going to tell Dreamweaver where to store stuff. So we'll say new site. We'll call this the Spry template example. And I'm going to put it in a folder. I'm going to put in my 250 under projects, Spry template. So here's where I want it to be. So I'll say select for this one. So now anything I save will go there for this session of Dreamweaver. Now what we want to do is we want to create a template. So we're not creating an HTML, it's very similar to the HTML, except that we're saying it's a template. So we'll say new, and we're now going to say page from template. Last time I think we did blank page. Now we're going to say page from template. And we're going to, oh no, sorry, we don't have a template yet. I want to make a blank template. Okay, so we're going to take a blank template, and for this example we'll go for an HTML template, and we'll pick the one I think that looks like the monolith one. This is the one that has the 3 sections, the header, the footer, and then 3 columns. So we'll pick this one and say create. And now we have something that looks like the monolith. Now, for our web page, in order for this to be a template, a meaningful template, some part of the page has to be changing from page to page. If you made a template and said the whole thing is the whole web page is a template, then every page you made from it would be exactly the same, and that wouldn't make sense, right? Something has to change. So right now, if I decided, it looks exactly like a web page, but it's not a web page, it's called a template. If I tried to save it, it's going to say, wait a minute, no section, if you save this as a template, every page built from it will be identical, and that doesn't really make sense. So if I go to save it, it should complain. The template doesn't have any editable regions. Are you sure you want to do this? So it actually will let me do this. So it'll let me create a template, which means every page would be exactly the same, which would be a very strange website. So anyway, let's decide, just for argument's sake, this middle section will change from page to page. But everything else, the header, the left column, the right column, and the footer will all be the same. So we have to identify which parts of the template will be different from page to page. So we'll click the middle section. Let's have the middle section highlighted, and then right click, and then on template say editable region. Now, it always starts off with edit region 3. We could give it any name we want. We'll call this region the main section. And hit OK.
Where was the editable region?
Wait a minute, hold on, that's not good. Let me undo that. I want to have the middle section become, so I highlight the middle section, and then I go to template, and then I go to editable region. Okay, if you click on that, then you give it a name. You can make up any name, like left side, right side, top. We'll call it main, or middle. Yeah, main section. Hit enter. And now what you've done is you've identified that the middle section, where these words like instruction and all that, that will change from page to page. So this section, like instruction, be aware that blah, blah, blah. Each page that we generate from this, that will change. But the top, the side buttons, that'll all be the same for every page. So we should be able to save this without any complaining. So we have at least one editable region. It looks like the Monmouth page had the middle section and the side column on the left were editable regions. The side column on the right, the top and the bottom looked like they were not editable regions for the template. Okay, so now if we go to save it, we hit save, and it's asking us for a name for the template. Now, like we said, we could have multiple templates for the same website, so you just give it some name. I'll say like, what do we call it, overall template or master template? Master template. Okay, if we now look in our folder, what Dreamweaver did was, here's the folder where you might have thought you'd see the template, or like as you're saving HTML pages, you would see them in this folder. But what it actually did was it created a folder called templates. And then it threw our template into that folder under the name that we just gave it, master, and it gives an extension of, you would think it would be an extension like HTML. because it looks like HTML, but it's actually an extension of DWT, which stands for Dreamweaver Template. So, in this templates folder, which is going to be all our templates for our website, is where we put stuff that looks exactly like HTML, but some sections are marked as they're part of the template, and some sections are marked as editable regions, meaning if you make a web page from the template, you can then change the editable part.
Mine didn't come up with templates. You know how yours automatically did? Like I have the DWT folder and I did Spry template. It came up in that.
Okay. All right, I'll just take a look at that after that. Okay, so right now, we saved away the template under, and Dreamweaver created a folder called templates because we may make many templates after that. So now, if we decide that we want to say new, and now I'll make a page, I'll say new page, I can now make a page from a template. See, I can make a blank page. This was a completely separate blank page, but now if I pick new from template, it's going to say which template. So I said in the folder, I have a Spry template example is my folder, and then I have a master template. So I can say from this one. So now it started off a web page that looks exactly like the template we made. Now I'm going to say this is the main page. And I'll get rid of this stuff. And I now have my main page. Okay. And now I can save this one. I could say save as. I'll call this one index. Index.html. Now I can make another page. You know what? Let me close this one out. I want to say new. I want to always make my pages from the same template. So now I'll make a second page called, and we'll do the sports analogy. Maybe I'll make a football page and a baseball page or something like that. So what I'll do is I'll take page from template, again the same thing, and now I'll make a new page called, let's say, and I'll get rid of this text. Okay. Okay, so I have a baseball page and I have a index page. So now I'm going to say save as, and I'm going to make this one baseball. So my folder now looks like this. I have my templates folder, I have my index, and I have my baseball page. They're kind of separate pages. If I want to view them over the internet, I could go to the Monmouth server, the Zorex server, I could go to IT250, and I can call this the Spry template. Projects, right? Okay, so here's my page, and then if I went to, so I didn't ask for any page, so the index came up, but I could ask for the baseball. And there's the baseball page. Okay, now, what was different about this than what we did last class? Last class, we made a page called index.html. We changed the colors to what we like, and then we started copying it everywhere. The problem with doing that was if we then started changing these links would now be copied all over the place. We'd have to make the updates everywhere. So the way, with this template, we said that this part will be the same, the header will be the same, that part will be the same, and the footer will be the same for all pages. So if we ever decided to make any change to any part of this, all the changes will get copied everywhere. So for example, if I wanted to say that, if I wanted to change, let's say the first button that says link 1, suppose I wanted to change that to home and make the second button baseball. Well, I would like that to be true on both pages. And I'd like to be able to make the change once. So I'll go into Dreamweaver and I'll say, I'll go back, maybe I can close that one out. I'll go back to this thing and I'll say the first button is home and the second button will be baseball. And I'll then say save. Now hopefully this will say, not only am I saving this, but I'm going to make updates to all the pages generated from this. So when I say save for the template is saying, I'm going to save this thing, but you have made two web pages, index.html and baseball.html, from this template. Would you like those to be updated too? So I'm going to say yes to this one. I'm going to click update. And those will both be changed. So I'll say update and close. And now if I go to the website, if I go to this page and reload it, now it's home and baseball. And if I go to the index one, the main one also has home and baseball. They both got updated. Instead of having to go out and do it to both pages. So the reason they both got updated is because they weren't made as separate HTML pages where I'd have to go to each one and edit them. I have a template that the baseball page and the main page were built from, and then any change I make to the template will automatically get propagated to all those other pages. Okay, so suppose we wanted to do something like add a logo to the top. So let's see if I can do this quickly. I'll go to the Monmouth page and let me steal that logo, the Monmouth logo. This Leaders Look Forward thing, let me save this picture as, I'll create a quick folder and I need to go to my place where I'm putting these projects. Right. I'll make a folder in here called images. And then in images, I will save I'll save it. This Monmouth bitmap logo. And now, if I want to go back to Dreamweaver and say, let me insert a picture. I may have to change it to, it doesn't know bitmaps. All right. I could open up, maybe what I'll do is I'll open up, no, you know what, let me do a different example. Sorry about that. I wanted to put the that logo on top. Let me just instead, I'll change the color of the top section to the Monmouth navy blue. Like that. See, okay. Now the top section changed to blue, and if I save the template, it's going to say these two pages need to be updated. So I'll say update. And now if I go back to the website and hit reload, the page changed blue. I was hoping to put the Monmouth logo up here, but I was having a little problem with the bitmap thing. But now for both of these pages, baseball.html also has blue change. So any change you make to the template, any change that we make to the template is going to be re-shown on all the pages that were generated from the template. So what we can now do is, let's say we wanted to do something that's a little involved, but we wanted it to appear everywhere. So suppose we decided we want to put one of those menu bars across the top that has different sports, and then if you put the mouse on it, it'll bring up new menus. That would start getting pretty clumsy if we ever decided we want to make a change to one of our pages. So if that's something that's going to appear on every page in our site, we would of course update it with our template. So we would go to our master template, we put the cursor down, and now this thing is called, this type of menu is called a Spry menu. So we'll say insert, and under Spry, Spry means like getting something done quickly, we can pick menu bar. And we can have a horizontal or vertical one. Most websites use horizontal ones. So now what it's done is it has added a menu bar for us. And the example that they give us, if I now save this, I'll save it right now. I'll say save, and it will update both the websites. And we'll say close. If we now take a look at it, reload this page, this page now has, I inserted in a bad spot. Let me undo that. I'll put it right here. Top. Okay. Insert. Okay. That looks a little bit better. Okay, let me now save this. Save it. So the web page now looks like this, which is a little bit more manageable. Okay. So what this is now doing, and we could change the colors and change the buttons later, what this is now doing is it's adding to our template these 4 buttons. And then this button, if you click on item 1, you get item 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. These could be then extended to be more menus if we want. So when we add a Spry menu, Dreamweaver gives us a sample. Just like the template before had 4 buttons here, 1, 2, 3, 4. It gives us like 4 choices, but we could just keep with cut and paste, adding more stuff to it. So suppose we wanted to make this the Monmouth University's sports page. So we can change. Let's have some sports we could add. We could say, go back to Dreamweaver, we could change this one to, let's say, baseball. And the second one, now the second one, if you remember from the Monmouth site, these buttons here, these first 3, prospective students, current students, and alumni, those are not menus. If you click on those, you'll go to a page. These ones are menus, the one after this, and the school went and changed the color to kind of let you know it's something different. So since you might want a mixture of menus and just straight buttons, Dreamweaver gives us, they gave us 2 menus, 2 menu buttons and 2 straight buttons. So this one's a menu, this is a straight button, this is a menu, and this is a straight button. But we can do whatever we want. So if we look in Dreamweaver, it really, the code ends up looking like this. It's basically a list. LI is a list item, and a UL is an unordered list. So it just keeps adding lists on top of lists. So we can do this however we want. But let's just say we wanted to have baseball. Now, what would be stuff that baseball would have as subcategories of baseball? Maybe the schedule, the players, and what else would we want to know about a team?
Coaches?
Coaches, right? And we hit save. Save template, that's going to say, do you want to save all the pages made from it? And we say, okay, close. Now if we go out to the website and reload it, we have baseball, and baseball has schedule, players, and coaches. If we go to the index page, which hopefully also got updated, this is the main page. This also has baseball, schedules, players, coaches. So every time we make a change in one spot, it gets changed every page that was generated from that page. So there's not a whole lot new being done here. The only thing that seems strange is we know how to go to Dreamweaver and create a brand new HTML page. And then we start changing the colors and adding pictures and do all that. The only thing really new here is we're making one additional, it's not a page, it's a template. We're saying, I want to make a template that all the other pages will be built from. And then I need to identify which sections of the page are going to be the same from page to page, and which sections of the page, like this middle section, will change from page to page. So when I create the template, we have to, the pages already comes out in sections. We would have to, I guess we don't have to, they gave us the choice. It would make sense that at least one section should change. If you said all sections stay the same, then you're just going to make 50 pages that are identical to each other, and there's still point. You'd be hopping around from one page to another page that's exactly like the first page. So it really doesn't make much sense to have a template where every section is not editable. So the sections are either template sections or editable regions. And you identify which sections will be the same from page to page. Those are template sections. So the only way to change them would be to go to the template section. I'm sorry, to go to the template and make the change there. And then when you say save, it says you want to make all the pages after that look just like it. And you would say yes. And then any page that you want to make an individual change to, you would have to go to that individual change and type it there. But that should only appear in one place. So if we were, let's say for example, what do you think? I'm not even 100% sure. We should try this. Suppose I took the baseball page and tried to change these buttons. These buttons are in the template. Should it let me do that? If we then tried to change the buttons later on and said copy these changes for all pages, we'd be overwriting each other, right? So what do you think would happen? I would think it'll say something like, that's a template section, you shouldn't be changing that. So I'll go into Dreamweaver and I'll say, File, Open, I want to open the baseball page. Now, the baseball page is where I can type in stuff to this editable section. That's the section that's going to be unique about the baseball page. But if I went to, it won't even let me into this section. I'm clicking on these buttons, it won't even let me in. This circle with the line through it is saying you're not allowed here. So if I try to, these sections, the header, the footer, all these sections are part of the template. So now if I go into the baseball section, I can do this. I can edit this. Welcome to the baseball page. Welcome to the baseball page. And then I can say save. So the answer to the question, if you go to an individual page that was built from a template and try to edit the template section, like this is part of the template. This part has to be the same for all pages. If I come here and say, well, for the baseball page, I want the template section to be different, Dreamweaver won't let you. You're locked out. So you can only edit the editable regions. The other ones you're just locked out. So I thought it would let me edit it and then tell me you can't save it, or give me a choice and give me a warning you're about to screw up your whole website. So, but it won't even let us try. So I can now save the baseball page, and that change will show up on the baseball page. Yeah, there. I spelled both of them. Okay. But anyway, you get the idea. So now if I want to start changing, if I want to start now adding a schedule page, I might call this page baseball schedule.html. I would, if I want that page, the schedule page, to look exactly the same as the site, I would go to the master template and then create a baseball schedule.html file from the master template. Now suppose we decided that we're going to have baseball, football, lacrosse, soccer, all these different sports, and we decided that the schedule page should look totally different from the rest of the site. If you ever want to see the baseball schedule or the lacrosse schedule or the soccer schedule, it's going to turn red on top, and it's not going to say Monmouth, it's going to say schedule or Monmouth schedules, anything different. It would make sense to create a schedule template, because we want all the schedules to look different from the Monmouth site, but similar. So we would just go, we would create a brand new template, maybe call it the schedule template, play around with the headers, the footers, whatever we want in common. All schedules should have something in common. And then we would put the individual stuff in some editable region again. So we don't have to have just one template. Your website can have 4, 5, 10 templates. And you could have 300 pages, and all 300 pages could be built from straight HTML or from a template. But building something from a template would mean if you ever change the template, every page built from that template gets updated with. And that takes away a lot of the error proneness to, like, so for example, if I spelled schedule wrong, it would be propagated everywhere, but then if I made a change to it, I would make the one change, hit save, and it would be corrected everywhere. And then I know that every page is going to have schedule first, player second, coaches third, because I wrote it once and it got copied everywhere. If I had to manually go in and change every page, I might get something, might not line up exactly right. So templates help when you have a website that, has a series of pages, and one page, the pages have something in common, but obviously they're different. In the end, they have to somehow be different. And it might make sense to design the template, save the template, and then make individual pages from it. So just since we have a few minutes, maybe what I will do is what to do, this is just a side topic, what to do when you have a picture. For example, in Dreamweaver, it doesn't seem to recognize BMPs, which are bitmaps. So I'll use another Adobe tool called
above scan for threads.
Where?
Right in between the two picture ones, like down, there.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm going to use the Adobe product Photoshop, which is something you could do to take pictures and make them look different. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a save as, and they'll have other options that are recognized. So Photoshop is something we could also use to create nicer looking buttons. If you notice, the buttons Dreamweaver starts us off with are pretty boring buttons. They just have a color and text on it. But we could actually go making nice buttons and save them in Photoshop and use those instead. So I have a bitmap, and I'm just going to do a save as.
Yeah, in the middle.
Okay, save as. And I want to change the type. Get stuck. I want to change the type to something I know it will recognize, like a JPEG. So I'll save it as JPEG. And now I should have two versions of it. I have the JPEG version and the BMP version. Okay, so now I can say I want to put, I'm in the baseball page, I want to go to the Dreamweaver page, the template page, sorry. And I want to insert a image. Go to my images folder, and I now have this image. So I can say, okay, make it pretty big, increase. No, okay. Should try to match this outer color. So now I have the picture, I'm on the picture, and if I say save, it'll say I'm going to update these pages too. I'll say close, and now if I go to this document, this is what the new website looks like. And that's the baseball page, and here is the main page. And they both now have the new logo. Okay, so really, it's the, it's just basically if your web page is going to have the same look and feel from page to page, you should make the parts that they have in common, put that into a template, and then build every page from the template. Every page that you want to be similar from that template.